21 years ago, when Tim came up with the idea of the World Wide Web, it was always about supporting and improving people's lives. It never was about transactions. It never will be about transactions. Transactions follow after the social effect and improving effect on society. So the first thing I want you to get into your mind is just to think about being social. I strongly encourage you to incorporate every single trend into your website and do it as early as you can, even if you don't understand why, even if your users are not yet ready for it, because these trends are coming from California even faster than I expected them to come. Now, all of these trends are going to affect your tactics, but the most important thing is that you embrace the trends and you accept they're coming. There'll be another set in a month's time, and you just get used to them coming into your life and into your website very, very fast. One of the things that's very important is your personal reputation online. If you're not performing well online, it is affecting the performance of your website. You can measure your current performance with Clout, with Peer Index, with Venio, and you can see how you're currently doing. And if you're not doing very well, that's fine. It doesn't matter. At least you know where you are. You can always run faster once you know how fast you can run. Now, one of the new breakthroughs which I like very much at the moment is from Huffington Post. But one of the wonderful things that they've written into the application is that when you log in with your Facebook and Twitter ID, it tells you who of your friends is there at that time, in real time, and what they've posted. That is a very, very powerful breakthrough, because you're effectively being able to carry your friends with you, know where they are, you know what newspaper they're on. That is a big breakthrough, and that needs to be incorporated in every particular site. Now, one of the changes, I think, cultural changes you have to get used to inside your organization is your organization is primarily closed, selective, and controlling. And that's how corporations and institutions have survived. But it's the opposite of the way the internet works. The internet is open, it's random, and it's supportive. To make your organization and everyone inside it open, random, and supportive is a journey. And most people don't like the idea of it. You've got to adjust to a digital mindset, because one of the scary things I think about the world we're now living in is we're all bombarded with information. The amount of information coming at us is already 100 times what it was 10 years ago. The amount of information coming at you in 2020 will be 1,000 times more. So you have to become very, very efficient. And I call this the acceptance, first of all, and the adoption of a digital mindset. So with this in mind, there's a quiz online called What Colour Are You? If you come out as a yellow and a red, you are closed, selective, and controlling on the whole. You are the money machines that make corporations flow. But the internet itself is blue and yellow. So that transition for chief executives is pure hell, because most chief executives are red. So then when we look at Google and Facebook, here we've got the 1 and 2 on the internet. Here we've got the Pepsi and Coke battle between the mighty Google and the new up-and-coming upstart called Facebook. Notice the difference between Google and Facebook. Google is very task-driven. Facebook is social-driven. It's led socially. It's relationship-driven. It's community-driven, however you want to use that word for social. But what's interesting is the time and attention people give to Facebook. 7 hours a month on average versus 45 minutes a month on average for Google. Looking forward, how will Google respond? Google are launching something called Google.me later in the autumn. Google.me is a combination of social products, combining Buzz, Gmail, Orca, and so on into a single environment. So if you like, Google is going social while Facebook becomes more task-orientated. You've got to assume that Facebook will add the search from Bing. Microsoft are a large shareholder, and they're putting more capital in all the time. Facebook Connect is the biggest threat to Google in the marketplace. But Facebook Connect for you as retailers and Twitter ID Connect is critical for you, because when users can't see Facebook Connect and can't see Twitter ID Connect on your sites, they assume you're off the pace. Within a matter of 12 to 18 months, if people don't see a Facebook Connect or Twitter ID login, they just won't log in. What does the Facebook generation mean? Last week, the week before last, I was listening to Mark Benioff, who's the chief executive of Salesforce.com. I'm sure many of you use that internally as your CRM system. And the latest version of Salesforce.com is a clone, no word of a lie, 100% clone of Facebook. And what Mark said to the audience was, he said, Facebook is the standard that people now use when they search the internet. With 500 million people using it, it's now the biggest used site. I thought, wow, if you want to speed up the user experience in each of your retailing websites, to clone the Facebook experience would make it very easy. The other significant thing for my 3 kids is they're going to leave university with between 1,000 and 2,000 friends on a system. They've got an outsourced CRM system of their friends called Facebook. And doing business for them and networking for them will be, relatively speaking, 10 or 20 times easier. The other interesting thing with my kids is I find that they're tending to use Google less because they say, I just ask my friends on Facebook. So you're seeing that shift from search to, if you like, social search or friend search. CEOs are really only interested in transactions, profit and loss, balance sheet, earnings per share, share price. And online, those things are practically irrelevant. So here's the thing. CEOs are not yet social. They rarely have an online profile, they rarely update their status, and quite frankly, they don't care. But you see, that's not good enough online. The social strategy has to come from the CEO and the board of directors down. This is the issue that has to be addressed inside each and every one of your organizations. Now, why is it important? Well, it's important because people want to listen to what they've got to say. And you can see here, people begin to follow and participate. This is what happens when you don't embrace social. When they had the explosion in the Gulf of Mexico, when 11 people were unfortunately killed, when the leak of the oil spread throughout the Gulf of Mexico, and he took the plane out there, the thing that he said on the news channel is, nobody wants this problem dealt with more than me because I want my life back. He makes one sentence, he's gone. And it was just an error. It was a slip of the tongue. But it lost him his job. And he could have dealt with this if he'd been participating socially. This is what happens to CEOs who choose not to go social. Right now, it's not desperately important. Within a few years, if they're not, they'll be gone. Let's look at somebody who does it right. In 2005, Steve Jobs at Apple did an address to the freshmen at Stanford. He did a talk about his life. If you look at the number of people that have watched that video, into the millions, the number of people who follow him around the world, and obviously the adoration and cultish adoration for Apple products and the Apple experience is massive. It's really hard to build a following. Really, really hard. You have to stand for something, you have to believe in something, and that's quite hard for a retailer to think about that. We've seen it with innocent drinks, we've seen it with pret-a-manger sandwiches. You have to have something that people believe in. We've seen somebody become president with a good social media strategy, 4 million followers at the time of president, now he's closing in on 6 million followers. So I want you to start thinking in detail about this world is about people first and transactions second. I want you to think about having a dream that you communicate to build your following, to build your community. When Martin Luther King made his speech, it wasn't "I have a plan" speech. It was "I have a dream" speech. And everybody has got to have that dream to attract followers. Lastly, think about what kind of social strategy you're going to have. You do actually have to have a social strategy. It's not just media, it's a social strategy. The journey is a tough one when you're building a following. It's not easy, and you'll be subject to massive criticism. And it's daily and it's relentless, but it's part of the process. But I'd just like to encourage you to do it, because I don't want any of you in here to be the next Tony Hayward. Thank you very much.